When I first decided to go to school for environmental science, I was working for an orthodontist at the time, and he would give me life advice. And I remember him asking me if I was worried about going to school for this because it's just a trend. Sustainability, environmentalism, these things that are like inherently trying to save the world and the resources that we rely on. He said that he thought it was a trend and was always like trying to get me to think about if I was worried or I should rethink maybe choosing that as a major. That mentality is so wild to me because saving the planet that we rely on and managing our resources in a way that we can continue to sustain the human population is not a trend, but sustainability in terms of marketing has absolutely become a trend. And I've seen that change from when I first got into this, like I said, like over 10 years ago to today. The attitude towards sustainability when it comes to making buying decisions is very in our face. And so because the opportunity to present yourself as a sustainable brand or that you're doing XYZ sustainably, because people are looking for that with their dollar bills, everybody has now decided to start using certain words, certain terms, do the bare minimum to be able to use the word sustainability somewhere in their marketing. And within all of that, we can talk a lot about greenwashing, and I'm sure we'll go over a little bit of that today. But at the end of the day, to me, there are so many brands out there, there are so many options out there that it's important to know how to actually find a sustainable brand. And so I thought we would just go ahead and make the ultimate guide to finding a sustainable brand, to evaluating a brand, and if we actually think it's sustainable. Because I get a lot of DMs about, is this brand sustainable? What do you think about this brand? And that sort of stuff. This is your guide. I want you to send this to anybody who is maybe buying from a brand that doesn't fit into these categories, but they think it's sustainable, or maybe someone who isn't even into sustainability and why they should be choosing brands that are doing the things we're gonna talk about today. So, without further ado, here's how to tell if a brand is actually sustainable. First of all, I think it's important to make a decision about what sustainability means to you, because there are so many different ways that we can look at a brand and say it's sustainable or not, and there are so many different options for us to be talking about, right? There's like clothing, home goods, cleaning products, furniture, like everything that we buy can be made in a more sustainable way, because at the end of the day, the way we are taking resources out of the ground, out of our natural environment, and what we do at the end of their life, that's kind of what sustainability is. And there's ways to make every single thing we buy more sustainable on both sides of that spectrum. And to some people, a sustainable brand might just be switching from like the brand of laundry detergent they're already using, but now there's this one right next to it on the shelf that says like it uses 70% more plant-based ingredients. I wouldn't call that sustainable, but on the spectrum of like a Clorox to like a really sustainable, small-owned, sustainable brand, you know, there's a lot in between there. So I think for each person, that standard might be different. My standard might be different than what yours is or what my mom's is. Does it mean plastic free? Does it mean biodegradable ingredients? Does it mean it's a small owned company, not owned by like a giant conglomerate brand? Living wages used throughout the supply chain. Transparency is something that I always look for in brands. So I think first step, decide what that looks like to you in whatever category you're trying to use this guide to decide if what we're talking about for you is sustainable. So there's some nuance there, but I think something that we also need to keep in mind when we're talking about sustainability in brands is where there's not as much nuance, which is when brands use words to make it seem like something else that it's not, okay? So in the US specifically, I can't speak to the whole world, I don't know legislation around the whole world, but there are not legal definitions for a lot of the words that we use in marketing. Things like natural, green, eco, sustainable, biodegradable. Those things don't have legal definitions where someone will come in and regulate that those words are being used. So baseline, start to understand that a lot of these terms are just thrown around willy-nilly, and not to be so fooled by just a label on packaging. At the end of the day, we need to be requesting transparency from brands, voting with our dollars, and also a big push towards making the words that we talked about having a legal definition to where someone is regulating them, and banning certain things and creating certain regulations at a government level to do their part too. So I just want to set the playing field with all of that. Now, if you know me, you know I love a third-party certification. And if you don't know what that is, essentially it is, here is X brand, and here is certification body. Usually it's someone with an expertise, an established certification. And they have a checklist of things that they look for with a brand to give them a grade, to give them a certification, right? So the idea here is that these people over here with the certifications are an unbiased third party who looks at what these guys are doing and says, yes, you're doing good, or you're not doing so great. And that's why I love third-party certifications, because I feel as much as brands can say what they're doing, as much as brands can be transparent, and those are the things I care about and look for. Over here, I trust these guys a little bit more, no matter the brand. And I will just say, speaking to it from someone who has recently started their own small sustainable brand, getting these certifications, not easy, not cheap, not something that you do in like year one of a brand, because it takes a little bit. You kind of have to have an existing supply chain to even rate it. But with all of that in mind, what are some sustainable third-party certifications that we should be looking for? Let's kick it off with one of my favorite certifications, and one of the ones I do not see enough. I took an entire class in college on the Cradle to Cradle certification, and the reason that this is so important is because of kind of what it sounds like. I've been talking about the way that sustainability can be a top tier is if the way you're extracting resources, and at the end of your product's life cycle, what happens to those resources. Well, those are the two cradles, where it comes from and where it goes. So that's what the Cradle to Cradle certification looks for. They're looking for transparency and sustainability throughout the entire supply chain. That's why I love it so much. The goal of the zero waste movement is a circular economy, where we're not going from cradle to cradle, where we create a circle where we extract things and we reuse them, and we use them and we extract, yeah, okay, you get it. Circular economy. That is the goal of the zero waste movement, and that is also the goal of the Cradle to Cradle certification. It focuses on circular economy principles, ensuring materials that are safe for human health and the environment. And to give you a specific example to use, because I feel things are a little more tangible and they make a lot more sense when we have something specific to compare it to, I want to introduce you to Aramaiz and Taiwan Excellence, which is the sponsor of today's video, and Cradle to Cradle certified. So Taiwan Excellence is known for showcasing the best and most innovative Taiwanese products, and they launched Taiwan Excellence Earth Month, which aligns with World Environment Day here in the US, and it encourages everyone to adopt simple green habits and shines a spotlight on eco-friendly practices of Taiwanese innovators. And Aramaiz is a perfect example. So I was able to try 2 of their incredible products, the 5A Juniper Scalp Purification Liquid Shampoo, and also their Hair Volumizing Essential Shampoo, which are both boasting the Cradle to Cradle certification that we talked about. There are so many different sustainable shampoos out there, but they don't all work for everyone. Our scalps are all different, our hair is all different, our needs are very different. So focusing on the Purification Liquid Shampoo, this product not only tackles common scalp issues like dandruff, greasy hair, sensitivity, but it does so with a formula that is gentle and effective and free from any harsh chemicals, no parabens, and it maintains a pH balance of 5.5. And I feel like those things are things that are hard to find in a sustainable shampoo in general, let alone one that has what I deem to be the best certification out there. It's designed to soothe inflammation, remove excess sebum, and alleviate redness, making your scalp feel refreshed and healthy. And I thought it would be good to include them because I feel like having a specific example and making things more tangible is really great for understanding how to find an actual sustainable brand. But if you're interested in trying it yourself, I do have a promo code, which I'll link at the top of the description. And there's a code GREEN2024 if you want to try it out, this specific one, and get 10% off. And I'm just so grateful that products like this exist that allow us to make a better choice for the planet and people and planet. We should be considering all of these things throughout this video, but also when you're considering if a brand is sustainable. It has to do both, not just one or the other. And I think also a truly sustainable setup would be if we can make good choices, if the brands are doing their part, and also when governments step in and promote these things and also give guidance and regulation to make all of this work. And this partnership really aligns all of those things. So we love to see it. So the Cradle to Cradle certification, definitely hands down my favorite one when I see it. It's really rare. Start looking for it and see how rarely you will see it. The second one is a B Corp, So B corporations are like a comprehensive certification that cover governance, workers, community, environment, and customers. I've noticed recently that the B Corp certification has really stepped it up because they will give you a report, or at least I looked at a brand's report the other day where they walked me through each different part of their supply chain and their business, and they rated it and they said why. So you can really dig into some of these certifications and learn a lot about a brand's supply chain and them as a business. So when you see the little B Corp logo, I feel like this is another really good sign that the choice you're making is a good one, that they are considering people and planet, not just one, not just the other. And if you're a real nerd like me, you can get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Fair Trade Certified is also one that I still feel has a really good reputation for making sure that people are treated fairly throughout the entire supply chain. And I especially look for this certification when we talk about things with food. There's a lot of things happening around the world and serious ethical human rights issues in a lot of different foods that we eat, but especially in things like chocolate is something that I look for Fair Trade certification for. So if you're looking for food, sometimes also crop grown things like cotton, denim, those sort of things are really good. And if you can find the Fair Trade certified on those goods, this is a really good one to look for. LEED certification is more something I would look for if you're considering a sustainable hotel, or maybe if manufacturers like warehouses or manufacturing facilities are LEED certified. I also took an entire certification course in college on LEED certification, and it considers how a building is built, how it's maintained, its energy efficiency, materials, all that sort of stuff. A lot goes into getting a LEED certification too. But if you're looking at a brand's website and they say that like part of their sustainability initiative is that their manufacturing and that their warehouses and those sort of things are LEED certified, that's definitely good. I don't think it's like an end all be all because there are so many other ways to be sustainable. But if someone's saying they're manufacturing in an eco-friendly way, like their warehouses and things are eco-friendly, just see, are they LEED certified? That means that they are doing some good stuff when it comes to sustainability in their buildings. This is not the end all be all the certifications. There's also like Leaping Bunny, there's bio certifications for ingredients and stuff. There's so many, but I think looking for these and then sometimes also making sure that they're like real symbols, because I have started to see brands putting just like random symbols on a thing. Again, something I learned by starting my own small sustainable business is that you can just throw any old label on something that makes it look sustainable with a little leaf and it's green and there's a heart and there's a bunny. Like you can put so many different labels on something to make it look a certain way. And a lot of brands that are either like big brands or kind of mid-tier brands, a lot of them will do that. Especially things like online. So be wary of that. If you see a certification, look it up and verify that it's true. It's all a little convoluted, but at the end of the day, these are the ones that I really like. And at the end of the day, I often look for third-party certifications to verify claims that brands are making. Okay, now let's get beyond certifications because there are still ways that brands can show that they're sustainable outside of that. And one of my favorite ways to look for brand sustainability outside of this is sustainability reports. So brands can assess their supply chains, they can assess where they started in their brand and where they're going. This can be so many different initiatives like reducing their emissions, reducing the amount of packaging they produce, creating a take back and recycling program. All those sort of things can be wrapped up into a sustainability report, and those are really good things to look for, because one of the things to also look out for is when a brand's sustainability initiatives and the things that they're telling you are sustainable about them are all goals for the future. Brands come out and like their big thing that makes them look sustainable is they'll be like, in 10 years, we're gonna do XYZ. By this year, we're gonna do this thing. And that's like future things they're doing to be sustainable, but when I buy something, I'm buying something from you right now. So I wanna know what you've done to be sustainable right now. And what sustainability reports do is talk about the things that they have already done while also talking about the things that they're maybe in middle of doing, like those 10-year goals. They're working on them, and in the sustainability report is usually how you will find out how they're working on them. Another thing that I like to do when I'm thinking about supporting a brand, especially these days, is look up if there are any articles or reports about things that they've done wrong. This has been really helpful for me in finding brands that label themselves as sustainable but that are owned by like mega conglomerate corporations that make their transparency super like just down. You can't get as much transparency when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation that owns the entire beauty aisle at Walmart, okay? It's It's just not, those things are not conducive to one another. I am a firm believer that you don't become like a multi-billion-dollar corporation ethically. That's just me. And another thing that you can do beyond the certifications and looking on their website is actually reach out to them and ask them to answer the questions that you have about their sustainability. If there's something you can't find, you think they're being shady, they're not being transparent, you always have the right to reach out to a brand, the customer service, whatever it is, the department that handles those things, and ask them those questions. And they should have answers to them for you. So you can always do that too. Okay, now I just want to throw a few rapid fire things that you can look for as a consumer to decide if something is sustainable. For me, like, there are brands out there who, like, everything they produce isn't the most sustainable and perfect, but at the core of what they are, they care about their employees and the people who make their stuff. They do different things in terms of ethics and sustainability that matters to me. And a really good example of that is REI. I think a brand, as outward as they are about supporting the LGBT community, people of color, they care about so many causes when it comes to the outdoor access for people who otherwise wouldn't have access to that. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everything I buy from them is going to be the most sustainable product, but that is a brand that I am happy to support because they have employee ownership. I am a co-op member at REI, and so I love all those things. And that's some other stuff that you can look for. So I was supposed to be doing rapid fire. You see how that happens for me? 1% for the planet, carbon neutral shipping, more sustainable packaging. This is going to come in handy for like cleaning and beauty products. Do they have refills? Is their packaging compostable? Are they working on using recycled plastic? All those sort of things. Ask what the brand's end of life is. So this is, do they have refills? Do they have takebacks? Do they recycle? Do they have specific programs for the end of a product's life cycle? Always look out for that stuff. Do they have a give back program? Like, do they have something where they're giving back a portion of their profits, whether it be 1% for the planet or something outside of that? Another good example here, like using REI as an example, they give their money to different organizations all year long, not just when it's a hot button topic. And that's something that I look for in brands, is that they have some sort of give back to the community and to the people of that area that they're serving. I think that's it for the rapid fire, like quick things to look for, but I would love to hear what you look for in a sustainable brand in the comments, because maybe I missed it. And I just think like crowdsourcing this information is really helpful, because we're all out there trying to make so many decisions all the time, and combining our knowledge is really helpful. So use the comments as a resource as well. I really hope this video was helpful for you. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And since we are talking about how we should tackle the issue of sustainability, from me and you to whoever our representatives are, to the corporations who should be doing better themselves, I want you to always keep in mind that you should be doing your best, making your best decisions, but advocating for the rest, because we can't always make the perfect consumer decision, but we can always talk to brands and our representatives about what we think they should be doing that would be better for people and planet. So that's it for me, and I'll see you next time.